I often remember him. I mean, how could I forget him? Lucas was my childhood friend. When I was young, my parents would drop me off at my grandfather's house every summer. Lucas used to live in the same neighborhood, and my grandparents had known his family for as long as they could remember. As far as I remember, it was almost from the moment I first went to my grandparents' neighborhood that Lucas and I became the best of friends. Lucas was a mischief maker. He was tall for his age, he had brown hair and green eyes. I would always hear his mother scolding him for one reason or the other. In one way, we were completely opposite. I was somewhat a shy person, and I tried to stay out of trouble and keep Lucas out of trouble as well. Every summer, from morning till night, for 10 years straight, Lucas and I had been together all the time. The neighborhood was beside the beach, so we often used to spend time down at the seaside. Lucas took me out onto the cliffs where he would balance on the edge while I'd sit back and enjoy the warm rays of the sun. Sometimes he would leap from rock to rock across the waters. He would go so far out that I'd get worried for him. Lucas belonged to a rather wealthy family. His father owned a few yachts. I'm still not sure to this day if Lucas knows how to sail, but he did take me out to sea one time. Knowing Lucas, all I could say is that I'm lucky to be back alive. Lucas even had his own car, and we often used to drive far out to distant places only to have a cup of coffee. Summers were so exciting that every moment I'd spend in the boring, dusty city, I would be looking forward to returning to my grandparents' place again. One summer when I had gone to my grandparents' place, Lucas introduced me to a girl. At the first sight, I was able to sense the girl was no good. But Lucas was madly in love with this blonde hair and blue eyes, named Jennifer. I didn't tell Lucas anything at first, but over the days I saw how crazy Lucas had become. In the beginning, I noticed how he would spend a lot on this new girl, buying her new gifts and all sorts of gibberish girl things. He started to spend so much that he stopped carrying cash around with him and got his father to open a joint account with him. Not only was Lucas spending loads of money on this girl he'd only known for just a few months, but he began to do even crazier things. The girl wasn't at all worried for him. She would complain that Lucas didn't pay attention to her, or that he didn't love her at all. And Lucas, that fool, would do whatever was in his power to convince her. This one time, he climbed off the cliff above the waters and called out to the girl. He said he would give her life for her. Lucas had gone insane. The girl had left, and I had to pull Lucas back up. "Are you crazy? Who is she going to be with if you die?" Lucas continued to do crazy stunts like this, and I ended up having to follow the two around for the sake of his life. I realized I had to knock some sense into the boy's head, but no matter what I said, he began to hate me instead. I also realized that the girl didn't like me at all, and often told Lucas wicked things about me. One summer night, when we were all by the beach shore, Lucas had gone to the shop to bring us something to drink. Jennifer and I were sitting alone waiting for him. She smirked at me and said, "You think you're going to win? The girl always wins." I couldn't understand what she was talking about. "What do you mean? He's ready on his heels to do anything for me. Yesterday, it was all about you. But from now on, it will be all about me, me, me. Goodbye to the best friend." Jennifer giggled her usual evil giggle that Lucas always fell for. I had no clue what had gotten into him, but I was sure that Jennifer had to go. When Lucas returned, Jennifer suddenly became quiet. She looked upset, and in a while she began to cry. She wouldn't speak to Lucas about anything, no matter how many times he asked her. She got up and started to stomp away as Lucas hopped after her, leaving me all alone on the beach. I wondered what game this chick was about to play. I watched the two walk towards the road when Jennifer turned and gave me a look. She smiled and moved her lips, saying, "I will win." The next day, Lucas came over to my house early. He barged through my door. I was still half asleep under my covers. Lucas sent his flying fist at my face. "I thought you were my friend. How could you?" I was confused, and my face hurt more than ever. "Lucas, what's wrong with you? What did I do?" "What do you mean, what did you do? First you tell me to leave Jennifer and then you do that? You think Jennifer wasn't going to tell me?" "Lucas, I told you she's no good. She's making things up." "I didn't do anything. It's over between me and you. Don't talk to me." Lucas shut the door closed and left. I was bewildered at what happened. I went after Lucas, but he wouldn't talk to me. Later that day, I tried to search for Jennifer. "What did you tell Lucas, you witch?" Jennifer laughed. "I told you, the girl always wins. That's what you get for trying to get rid of me, Mr. Best Friend. You're such a cheap witch." "Mind your language, mister. Lucas won't appreciate you calling me that, now would he?" I planned to head over to Lucas's house as soon as I could to get things sorted out and to get Jennifer out of his life. Just before I was out the door, Jennifer yelled out, "Where are you going? There's no use in trying anymore. You lost. We're moving out together next week. Can't wait. He's got us an apartment in the city. I got his father's debit card in my back pocket and his car keys in the front." I knew what Jennifer was. She was a freak that cared nothing about Lucas. She was a gold digger, and all she wanted was to play in a pool of money while Lucas would serve her bonbons of gold. I reached Lucas's house, but Jennifer had been right. Lucas wouldn't bear to listen to me, and things were becoming even more scandalous the more I tried to prove myself innocent. That summer was horrible. Lucas and I stopped talking. We didn't hang out anymore. The two had left for the city, and I was stuck at my grandparents' house alone. Before the summer ended, I gathered my things and went back to the city. The next summer, I didn't go to my grandparents' house. Although I wanted to patch up with Lucas, I wasn't looking forward to seeing that girl again. After a few years, I decided to pay my grandmother a visit again. By the time I reached there, it was nearly evening. I thought about heading over to the cliff where Lucas and I used to spend time. It was raining. Thunder was falling from the skies. But I still walked through the pouring rain. Perhaps Lucas would be there. It had been many years. Maybe he would listen now. As I walked down the shoreline, I could make out Lucas's figure sitting over the cliff with his legs hanging. Somehow, I was sure he'd be here. The waves were crashing onto the cliffs. They were nearly covering it over. When I reached close by, for a moment I was afraid that he would still be angry with me. But I thought I had to get rid of all misunderstandings one day. I walked towards him, and from a distance I shouted, "Lucas!" Surprisingly, Lucas turned and his face broke into a smile. He ran over to me. "Bro, I've been waiting for you." I wanted to wrap my arms around him in joy, but when I stretched out my arms, he moved back. He looked nervous. "What's wrong, Lucas?" "You have to get out of here," Lucas replied, furrowing his eyebrows. "Why? There's no time to talk. Just go. I'll see you soon. Not now, but soon." No matter how much I asked him, he couldn't explain why, but he insisted that I go and just waited until I left. When I got back to the house, my grandmother was waiting for me. She was a bit angry that I hadn't come over in so many years. "Was your flight delayed? What took you so long to come?" "No, I came about an hour earlier, but I went down to the beach. I met Lucas there." My grandmother paused and stared at me for a long time and looked at me dumbfounded. She then put her hand on my forehead. "What happened? Did I say something wrong?" I was puzzled at the way she was checking my forehead. She sat me down and said, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but Lucas died 2 years ago. He drowned." I couldn't believe what she was telling me. I had just seen Lucas with my own eyes. I had just talked to him. And then I remembered Jennifer. "And what about Jennifer? Where is she?" "Jennifer? Who's she?" "Oh, you mean that girl." Poor Lucas. I heard the girl robbed him and left with another man. Lucas returned from the city a couple of months after he had left. He had come over asking about you, but I told him you were busy with college. Nothing was making sense to me. I had just talked to Lucas, and now I was hearing he's dead. I went over to his house to figure out what happened. I was shocked when I entered his house. Everything was so different from before. There was only a small TV, an ordinary couch, and a bookcase in the corner of the living room. Last time I had been here, it felt like I had entered a mansion. Lucas's mother cursed Jennifer the whole time I was there. After the two had moved out together, Jennifer managed to empty Lucas's bank account to only a few bucks in just a month. She then left Lucas for another man, quite older than her. Lucas's mother told me he was Jennifer's next target. She couldn't stop swearing at the girl. Lucas had returned home after that incident. He stayed all by himself in his room. He had gone into depression after Jennifer had betrayed him. She told me that Lucas went for a walk on the beach. He was on the cliff when a big wave came and swept him into the sea. 3 days later, his body was found washed up on the shore. I couldn't believe what happened after I left. Lucas had been searching for me, and I wasn't there to stand by his side. I spent a couple of days walking by the seaside, like Lucas and I used to. I realized that the place where Lucas had been swept off was the same place where we used to hang out on the cliff. That evening, when I had arrived, the waves were crashing against the cliff. I would have been swept away just like Lucas. That's why he was telling me to leave. It's been a year since I saw Lucas by the cliff. The last thing that he told me still haunts me. I'll see you soon. Not now, but soon. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel, because you know it's interesting.